Irrigation Engineering, Unit 1, Crop Water Requirement. Plants are living beings and do require water and air for their surviving, as do human beings require. The requirement of water varies with their type. Different types of plants require different quantities of water and at different times till they grow up completely. Water is normally supplied to these plants by nature through direct rain or through the flood waters of rivers which inundate large land area during floods. The flood water may saturate the land before the flood is subsided. Unit 1 syllabus need and classification of irrigation, historical development and merits and demerits. Merits and demerits of irrigation, types of crops, crop season, duty, delta, base period, consumptive use of crops, estimation of evapotranspiration using experimental and theoretical methods. We know some definitions in irrigation. First thing, runoff. Runoff, the fraction of rainfall running off over the surface of load is referred to as runoff. It is measured in terms of depth of water over the land or expressed in volumetric units. Evaporation. Evaporation from water surface is a uniform of vapor pressure at the water surface and the atmosphere above it. Evaporation is directly proportional to the input of heat energy in the body of water. Infiltration. Infiltration is the process by which the rainwater entered from a air medium to soil medium, but the flow of water within the soil process is called percolation. The rate of which water entering the soil is called infiltration rate. Transpiration. Transpiration is the loss of water through the pores in the leaves of plants. The transpiration ratio is the amount of water lost by a plant to weight of solid matter produced by the plant. Need of irrigation. Vital element for plant life. For survival of plant growth requires water from crop to crop, time to time to till complete their growth of life attained. India is tropical country where the rainfall is highly irregular, so irrigation in must. The total rainfall is less than the water requirement of the crop, then artificial supply of water is needed. Factors governing the necessity. Monsoon failure, non-uniform rainfall, controlled water supply, raising perennial and cash crop, growing multiple crops. Monsoon failure. When the rainfall at the place is inadequate to meet the water requirements of the crops, irrigation is necessary. This is generally essential for arid and semi-arid regions. In such areas or nearby, irrigation works are constructed where more water is available. Example, the water from the river Sutlej is conveyed the Thor Desert of Rajasthan through the Indira Gandhi Canal. Non-uniform rainfall. The rainfall is neither uniform at all places nor equally distributed over the crop period. It varies from place to place and season to season. When rainfall is not uniformly distributed for the crop period, it is possible to obtain good crops by rainfall alone. The rainfall may be sufficient or even more than the crop requirements, but if it is more during yearly periods or the crop and there may be very little or no rains on for the proper maturity of the crop, it will kill the crops causing less yield. At such places, the excessive rainwater is collected, stored, and supplied to field as per crop requirement. Controlled water supply. The yield of crops per hectare is substantially increased by irrigation as the supply of water is properly controlled, raising perennial and cash crop. Sugarcane is an important perennial crop which remains in the field practically throughout the year. As the rainfall is not regular, irrigation is invariably needed for sugarcane. Cropping multiple crops. Irrigation is necessary when superior crops are grown. Some inferior crops, such as millet, requires less water. For such crops, the rainfall may be sufficient and irrigation may not be required. But for growing superior crops and cash crops, such as oilseeds, cotton, fruits, vegetables like that, which require a large quantity of water, where irrigation is necessary. Mode of irrigation. Mode of irrigation in two categories. One is natural irrigation, another one is artificial irrigation. Natural irrigation, natural mode of irrigation is the one of which the object of irrigation is fulfilled without the involving any construction works of significance. In a simple way, natural rainfall may be considered as the natural mode of irrigation. At the time of floods, areas surrounding the river is submerged underwater. Obviously, this flood water can be utilized for the irrigation purpose by proper direction of flow of flood water. Artificial irrigation. Artificial mode of irrigation is one wherein fields are irrigated after construction of properly designed structures for storage and diversion works. Artificial irrigation can be broadly classified as surface irrigation and subsurface irrigation and sprinkler irrigation. Historical development. After independence, the government of India was concerned with the need for the vastly growing of population and irrigation. Nearly 27.2% of total outlay in the first year plan was set aside for irrigation and power. In the second 5-year plan, 19% of total outlay was used for irrigation and power. In the third 5-year plan, 22% of total outlay was spent on irrigation and power development. India has unequal distribution of rainfall over the country, varying from less than 25 centimeters. Substantial variation in the quantity, incidences, and duration of rainfall tracks from year to year make the irrigation necessity in the country. Method of irrigation. Irrigation made by three methods. One is surface irrigation, subsurface irrigation, and sprinkler irrigation. Surface irrigation is again divided into three categories: flooding irrigation, wild irrigation, free irrigation. Subsurface irrigation is divided into two categories: burrow irrigation, controlled irrigation. Controlled irrigation again classified into contour lateral flooding, border stripe flooding, checks basin flooding, sprinkler irrigation, basin irrigation, and zigzag irrigation. Merits of irrigation: increases the food production and its value, cash crop cultivation, revenue to the country, and wealth benefits, generation of hydroelectric power and industrialization, domestic and industrial water supply, inland navigation. Merits: recharge of groundwater, elimination of mixed cropping, protection from failure, increases in prosperity of the people, land value, canal plantation, improvement in communication, living standard and civilization, general development of the country. Demerits of irrigation, waterlogging, damp climate, mosquitoes breeding, and malaria spreading. Types of crops. On the basis of season, crops are classified into Kharif crops, Rabi crops, and Zaid crops. Kharif crops. Kharif crops are known as monsoon crops, crops growing during June to October. For example, paddy, maize, cotton, these are all the Kharif crops. Rabi crops. Rabi crops examples wheat, barley, sesame, mustard, like that. Zaid crops, watermelon, pumpkin, etc. Food grains, rice, wheat, maize, millet, pulses. These are all the food grains. Cash crops. Cash crops. A cash crop may be followed by a fodder crop, which in turn may be followed by a soil renovating crop like gram, cotton, jute, sugarcane, tobacco, oil seeds. Plantation crops is it tea, coffee, coconut, rubber. These are all the plantation crops. Horticulture crops, fruits and vegetables. Crop season. Crop season plays a significant role in the type of crops to be cultivated. There are two major crop seasons in India. The crop season are classified based on agricultural point of view and year is divided into major classes of crop, Kharif season and Rabi season. Kharif season starts from April 1st and ends in 30th December. Kharif crops are called summer crops. Kharif crops require irrigation water about 2 to 3 times that Rabi season. Rabi season. Rabi season starts 1st October and ends on 31st March. Wheat, barley, gram, mustard, potatoes, etc. Rabi crops or Rabi crops are also called as winter crops, but the, there is no rigid deadlines of dates mentioned. The time may vary about 1 to 3 months on either side. Sugarcane, an important and familiar cash crop, is cultivated on both seasons. Crop classification. Classification based on crop season, classification based on agricultural pattern and irrigation requirement. Base period. Base period means the time period elapsed between the first watering of a crop at time of its sowing and its last watering before harvesting. The, the period is called base period. Crop period. The time period elapsed between the instant of its sowing and instant of its harvesting is called crop period. The crop period is slightly more than base period, but for practical purposes, they are taken as one and the same, generally expressed in days. Duty. The irrigating capacity of 1 unit of water is called duty. It refers in the relation between the area of a crop irrigated and quantity of water required for the entire growth of the crop during the base period of that crop. Duty equal to hectares divided by cumulus. These are all some duty for some plants. Rice having 775 duty, sugarcane 730 duty, other Kharif crops 1500 duty, Rabi crops 1800 duty, and perennials 1100 duty. Delta. Delta is defined as the total depth of water required by a crop for its entire growth of field. Delta is defined as the symbol of delta. Delta in field sum of crops. For example, rice having delta 120 centimeter, sugar cane also having 120 centimeter, garden fruits 60 centimeter, tobacco 75 centimeter, cotton need 50 centimeter of water required, wheat 40 centimeter, maize 25 centimeter, pears 15 centimeter, barley 30 centimeter, vegetables 45 centimeter. Factors affecting duty, types and system of irrigation, method of cultivation, types of crops, base period of crop, mode of applying water to crops, quality of water, characteristics of soil, climate conditions of area, efficiency of cultivation methods, and canal conditions. These are the factors affecting duty. Method of improving duty. Proper and leveling of land before sowing the crop. Frequent cultivation of land so as to reduce moisture loss. Suitable good quality source of water for irrigation. Volumetric method of assessment. Practicing rotation of crops. Proper lining of canal to reduce seepage and percolation losses. Consumptive use of crops. Consumptive use of water is the water used from available supplies without return to water resources. That is, water used in manufacturing, agriculture, and food preparation that is not returned to stream, river, or water treatment plant. Consumptive use equal to evaporation plus transpiration. That is called a consumptive use of water. Factors affecting the consumptive use of water. Evaporation, which depends on humidity, mean monthly temperature, growing season of crops and cropping pattern, monthly precipitation in area, wind velocity in locality, soil and topography, irrigation practices. Types of consumptive uses. Optimum consumptive use, potential consumptive use, seasonal consumptive use. In next class, we see in detail about these consumptive uses. Thank you.